Hey Mena Warriors, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate Hartley and I share a weekly video with you every Monday about something related to menopause. I'm doing a big thing at the minute about menopause fat loss because we often talk about losing weight, but in actual fact, it's really fat that we want to get rid of, not weight. And today I'm going to share a few tips as to what you should be looking for if you want to burn fat effectively and also build lean muscle, because that's ultimately what you want to aim for if you want to be healthier, more energized, have improved hormone balance, manage your stress hormones more effectively as you get older. You're also, as you're going to be building lean muscle, you're going to be doing more strength training. It's going to help prevent brittle bone disease. It's going to help prevent muscle atrophy, because as estrogen falls, cortisol, one of our stress hormones, goes up. Cortisol has a catabolic effect. It breaks our tissues down, which is why you might be struggling with more sore joints. It's why all of a sudden you might be thinking, oh God, I've got so much cellulite. It's why your muscles are vanishing. It's why you've got belly fat appearing. So all of these things are part and parcel of the falling estrogen, the rising cortisol, and on top of that, when cortisol rises, remember cortisol breaks things down, it also releases insulin, and insulin is our fat storing hormone. So it's really important that you understand how to eat effectively for optimum muscle building and fat burning potential. You want to be looking at balancing your macros. I always used to think, oh God, that's far too complicated. I would never calorie count, because I think that's even more complicated. But I started measuring my macros a few years back now, and it has made the biggest difference. And I've also started eating a lot more protein over the last few months. Again, that's making a big difference. So I'm going to break it down to you today as to how you can tell if you're burning fat rather than actually reducing your muscles because you're not doing the right thing. Many of us associate weight loss with starvation. So many of us associate a healthy weight with a number going down on the scale. And that often involves extremes. So extreme calorie deficit. Do you remember the cabbage diet and the various crazy diets? I even did the cabbage diet. I think I was about, I don't know, early 20s. My mum did it, and it's just like all the rage. It's just like, God, this is vile. And yes, we all lost weight on it, but we all lost muscle too. But back in the day, we didn't know about that sort of thing. It was horrible. And when you starve yourself, you are causing hormonal imbalances. You're increasing stress in your body, which means more cortisol, which means more belly fat. Yes, you can be really skinny and have belly fat. You can be actually quite fit as far as a cardio, endurance, runner, cyclist, swimmer goes, but you can still have belly fat. That is because you need to do more strength training and also probably focus more on your macros. So it might be that you're doing all this hard work to starve yourself, restrict what you love eating, and in actual fact, it's hindering your progress. All you're doing is your body is gradually slowing down. Our body's really clever. When you start to restrict what you're giving it, it goes in, it just slows down. So when you start to eat normally, because most of us do, we default back to our happy medium, and you start to eat what you would normally eat, and some of us eat more than we would normally eat because we're thinking, oh God, I'm starving, and it just goes on as fat, and the body hangs on to it for longer because it's thinking, oh, you're going to starve me again soon, aren't you? I'm wise on this now, and it can end up in that yo-yo diet cycle, which is just so frustrating. So avoid that. Now, I know it can be really hard to separate your worth, because aren't we all conditioned to sort of define our worth with a number on the scale? And it's really easy to sort of cockily be on social media, I do not define myself by the number on the scale. And actually, in all honesty, I would say I don't, but I haven't stepped on a scale for years, because I suppose actually there is a little bit of me in there thinking, oh, that's heavy. But because I'm built lean muscle, and I have very strong bones. My bone mass is phenomenal. I'm about to turn 54, and my DEXA scans are always just like, wow, what are you doing? It's just like, well, I just balance my macros, eat lots of protein, and do strength training, and it works. I don't take any HRT, just in case you're about to ask that. There is a misnomer. A lot of women think if they take HRT, they're naturally going to lose weight. That is not always the case. And in actual some cases, if you take HRT, you can actually gain weight. So we are all different. We are all unique. I just wanted to add that in there, because so many times I get messages that, oh, I started taking HRT and I'm putting on weight. Is that normal? It can be. So I cannot really comment because I've never had HRT. All I've done is lifestyle change. And I know HRT is fabulous for some women, so I'm not anti or pro. I just know I have people follow me on here because I don't do HRT. And I think there is a significant amount that we can do ourselves naturally by following healthy lifestyle changes. And whether you take HRT or not, I still highly recommend you really focus on your lifestyle. So as we get older, things slow down, and we do have a tendency to, our metabolism has a tendency to slow down. We've become more sedentary in actual fact. It's not really that our metabolism necessarily slows down, it's just that we just get lazier. And I think we're conditioned to think, oh, I'm getting older, so I better take it easy. And actually, no, we just need to stay active. We really do need to stay active. There is nothing stopping you except for probably your mindset from embarking on a healthy journey. Even if you've never done anything before in the past, just start and then build up and build up and build up. And over the course of several years, you're going to be literally feeling, after a few weeks, you'll feel incredible. But you can transform your body, your entire physique, internally and externally with, regular workouts, good nutrition, knowing what macros you're eating, and 2-3 years you could be literally, if you're incredibly overweight right now, please don't ever give up. There is something that you can do. And even just after 18 months, and I'm talking about the very high end of overweight right now, 18 months you can be completely transformed. So isn't it worth it just to start and just to see all your healthy indicators improving? So just a quick thing that you do need to understand. When we start to restrict, and more extreme kind of restriction, your body can either burn muscle or burn fat as its energy source. Because if you're not putting enough in, then it has to come from somewhere. Well, muscle is a lot easier for the body to break down than fat is. So unfortunately, while we think, oh, I'm just going to restrict myself, it's going to burn all that fat, it's not. You're essentially allowing your body to break down the muscle without really touching the fat. And then as you're losing muscle, your metabolism is adapting, which it will do. So as you have a smaller amount of muscle in your body, you're necessarily burning fewer calories, because the more muscle you have, the more calories you will burn. Even if nothing changes, just by building more muscle, you will get through more calories. And that can create a deficit naturally, so that you're not actually having to eat less. It's just that you've got more muscle and it's firing up more, it needs more energy, and so you're burning more. So if you're looking at the scale thinking, oh, I just dropped 5 pounds in like a day and a half, either it was water or you were constipated, or you've lost a lot of muscle and it was not fat. So how do you know if you're burning fat and not losing lean muscle? So the first one is you might step on the scale. I think it is a good idea to have a track of what's going on with the scale, even just so that you know that you are building lean muscle and burning fat. So it might be that you step on the scale at the beginning of your healthy journey and say it's 140 pounds. And then 3 weeks later, you've been doing these strength training workouts, you've been following your nutrition plan, and you're just thinking, yeah, great, I'm going to get on the scale. And then you look and you just think, oh, nothing's changed. But did you notice what your measurements were saying? You should always take your measurements when you're starting a new healthy lifestyle thing. Your measurements will have gone down, but the weight on the scale is showing the same. That means that you're burning fat and building lean muscle, which is what you want to achieve. That is just like, hallelujah, you're getting the results that you want. Also, people say, well, muscle weighs more than fat, but it doesn't. It's like a kilogram of feathers weighs the same as a kilogram of lead. And the same applies to muscle and fat. So a pound of muscle weighs the same as a pound of fat. But say a pound of fat might be that big, and a pound of muscle is probably that big. So it's a lot leaner. So while fat makes you spread out a bit, muscle is going to make you decrease in inches and size and how you look. You're also going to feel different too. When you have more lean muscle, you hold yourself better, you've got more energy, you just feel like, you feel a little bit kind of perky. And it's a fabulous feeling. That in and of itself, that feeling when you're feeling a little bit perky, that is a sign that you're building lean muscle. It is improving your hormones. It's probably detoxing your body because you're moving more often. And your body needs lean muscle. Your body wants to feel healthy. So when you're treating it with the things it needs, like you're balancing your macros, you're eating enough protein, you're doing your strength training, your body's happy. It's just like, yay, she's finally looking after me. And that is a fabulous feeling. And it comes from deep within. It really is like walking with a little bit of a skip in your step. So if you're getting that feeling too, you know that you're doing the right thing. The number on the scale may not be budging at all, but that doesn't matter. It does not define your worth. The measurements, if your measurements are going down, that is the most important indicator, or your photos. I'll go on to that in a minute. Now, often, unfortunately, when you start to build lean muscle to burn fat, it might be that the bits that you really want to work on and see significant change in take the longest to actually get that change. So you might be thinking, I really want to get rid of the belly fat, and everything else has got leaner and stronger and you're feeling more sculpted, and it's just like, well, belly fat, bloody shift. It is going to shift gradually, but some areas are a bit more sticky than others. I know some women, they say, I've lost all my boobs. My boobs have gone. My belly's still big. And often it's just because of the fat is repositioning. Our body is just changing. You just have to persevere with it. And also don't forget that sometimes you might say your thighs are getting leaner because you're doing your strength training. So all of a sudden it might make your knees look bigger, or it might make your bum look bigger because your legs are looking leaner. And in actual fact, when you're strength training, really, you want your bum to be looking bigger. You want it to be up and sculpted. When you do really good strength training, you're working on all of the gluteal muscles. So, most people, I think, just think of the gluteus maximus. You want all the others involved as well, because then that gives you that lovely lifted, rounded booty. So it's lifted from beneath, and it's also supported from above and around the side. You'll find that as women get older, because of the cortisol breaking down effect, their bottoms tend to just sort of vanish a bit. You'll get bigger around the middle, and then your bum sort of becomes almost like a V shape, like if you had a baby boy, when the little baby girls got lovely round bums, and then little baby boys. I never forget seeing my son, sorry Joe, when he was first born. It's just like, oh my god, his bottom's so different to Ella's, and Ella had this lovely round bottom, and Joseph's was just like this little sort of scrawny V. Well, that's what happens to women as we get older too. I really hope that you don't hate me for just saying that. But it is the case that as we get older, our bottom muscles diminish fast. So we really want to be having a nice, firm, round booty, because also those muscles, they're strong. And when you've got good booty muscles and leg muscles, they will burn more calories more effectively, because they are bigger muscles, and they're also going to help hold your posture straight. So they are vitally important. So you really want to be working on ideally making a bigger bum, and that will have a bit of an effect on your skinny jeans possibly. That brings me on to clothes, because clothes are a really great indicator, because sometimes when you take your measurements, if you measure your arm one day or 1 week, and then you've done your program, and then you measure it again, and you're just thinking, where did I actually measure it? And you might have it a little bit wrong. It could also be that if you had very little muscle to begin with, and you just had flabby arms, well, you're building lean muscle. You're building your triceps, you're building your biceps. It could actually be that the arm itself doesn't change that much in the measurement, because you're building lean muscle. So it's measurements are great, and eventually you're going to see a big change overall with your measurements. But also know that sometimes your measurements actually might go up because of the lean muscle that you're creating. And again, that's a good thing. So the clothes thing, it's always a great idea to have like a pair of maybe jeans that fit tight on you at the moment, because just put them on every week, and you'll notice that in different areas they're starting to feel a lot better. You can get the waist done up, you can then get the zip or the buttons done up, and then you might find that you've got a gap around the middle. You might find that the legs are getting baggy on you. That is really joyful when you're going through that process, because the clothes don't lie. Before and after photos are also really important. Always make sure though that you're taking the photos in the same outfit, also in the same area, at the same time of day, because lighting is incredibly important. Some lights, you can look 30 years younger. And then other lights, you look at it and think, oh, God, what's happened? You know, and it's literally just highlighting every nook and cranny and wrinkle and bump, and you just think, whoa, is that really what I look like? And it's just that you happen to be in a really unfortunate light. And it does happen, you know. The models, you know, the stars, they all have their those light reflector things, and they've all got the big sort of lights flashing on them. And diva rings, people use diva rings a lot. You know, that is because it makes the light flatten, so it sort of hides some of the wrinkles and the sort of the crepey bits on your skin. And so be very mindful of the light can make you look great, and the light can make you look bloody awful at times. I mean, not bloody awful you, but you know, you personally, you can look at it and just say, oh my God, what happened? What's gone wrong? So just be very mindful of doing it ideally at the same time of day, in the same spot, so that you've got a really true idea of how you're changing, and you will notice a difference 100%. And finally, you might find that as you start to build lean muscle, that your appetite increases. There is nothing wrong with that. We need to feed ourselves with the right balance of foods and plenty of protein to build lean muscle. There is nothing wrong with eating food. It's when I start a new strength training program, I often notice that I'm more hungry too. And it's just because my muscles are burning through the energy that I'm putting in. So that's why it's always useful to have, like, maybe every 30 days, just check what your weight is, and check. I mean, the way I measure my macros is I follow a particular nutritional system. And in fact, I'm going to break that down one of these days for you. Somebody asked for it not long ago, and I'm going to share with you the macros, that how they work for me and my weight, and what I eat in a day. And I'm also I'll share my 10-day meal plan that I put together a while back, that you'll find that really, really helpful. It's got some really delicious recipes in it as well. But when you know what macros you should be eating throughout the course of the day, with an emphasis on obviously lots of vegetables, but protein, make sure that you're eating enough protein. You need to be eating the right kind of foods to fuel the muscles that you're building, because otherwise, if you're working out and you're not feeding your body with the right nutrition, you're just going to create more stress in your body. So it's very important that you're feeding yourself for fuel, rather than trying to restrict in order to, you know, lose the weight. See it as burning fat and replacing that fat with lean muscle. And also know that when you start a strength training program, even if you're used to strength training programs like I am, if you start a new one, your muscles might be being used in a slightly different way, which is when you get that inflammation, you get sore muscles. That inflammation is actually hanging onto fluid. So it could be that the scales actually go up quite significantly to begin with, because of the fluid that your muscles are holding onto. That will eventually go, it'll dissipate, don't worry about that. But you know, if you've got onto the scales and then you've started this strength training program, which is giving you sore muscles, so you measure your weight before you start. 5 days later, you're thinking, oh, great, I've been doing really well. I'm in all these strength training programs. I'm eating the macros properly. And you get on the scale and it's just like, oh my God, what's happened? I put on 5 pounds already. It's like, it's not working. It is. It's just that your muscles are inflamed. And sometimes the body takes a bit of time. If you've really been living an unhealthy life, it's just takes a while for the body to start to shed the fat as well. If your insides are quite toxic, then it can take a little while to go. I had somebody in my group not long ago, she was saying, I'm still not losing weight, I'm still not losing weight. It's just like, the scale is not the best indicator. What are your clothes fitting like? You know, have you taken your measurements? Did you take your before photos? And of course, then it's just like, oh, actually, yeah, my measurements are going down. But she actually gained weight to begin with because of the muscle inflammation. She hadn't really done many workouts before, and then she committed to a program, and it was making her muscles sore, so she had that inflammation. And then after 6 weeks, it was just like, oh wow, the difference. She actually did lose weight, even though she was building muscle. And she's still losing weight, she's still building muscle. You know, we're all different. It really depends what your starting point is. For me, I'm not really like to lose much weight. If I do at all, I'm likely to gain weight because I'm building lean muscle. That is my absolute focus, is to just keep building lean muscle, because as we get older, it's so much harder to maintain. So lots of protein, lots of vegetable, eat fruit. Carbs are good for us, not refined carbs, but vegetables, fruits are carbs, whole grains are carbs, potatoes, sweet potatoes, butternut squash, those are carbs. Yeah, certain amounts, they're fine, but it is about knowing how much of which food group to eat. So today I have kicked off my 21-day challenge, which is a combination of strength training and actually balancing your macros and making sure you're eating enough protein. By the time you watch this, it might be a little bit late for you. But if you're watching this on the Monday and you're just thinking, I want to do that, or even if you're watching it a few days later, it does not matter because I run these groups regularly, but you can always hop in a few days late. So there's a link in the description box below this video. If you want to join us, fill out the form. It's going to feed some information to you. It'll tell you about the pricing. It will tell you about what to expect. It'll tell you about actually how we're going to be doing this. And we're going to have some fun together. We're going to get great results. So click that link if you want any more details, and if not, then there's the free menopause weight loss guide also in the link. Have a look at the link, have a look at the description box, because I've got lots of resources there for you that you can have a look at if you want to. And anything that you'd like me to cover in a future episode, just send me a message and I'll be glad to answer that for you. If you've got anything that you want to message me more privately, because I know on YouTube comments are very public, just send me an email at katehartleyuk@gmail.com, or on Instagram I'm at katehartleyuk. Just pop me a message across on there. And thank you for your company. I hope this was helpful. Instead of focusing on how much you weigh, ditch the scale and use measurements, photos and clothes to track, and also how you feel to track your progress. And if you're on your healthy journey right now, please comment. Let me know how you're getting on. I would love to celebrate you. So thank you for your company. Make sure to subscribe if you've not done so already, and I look forward to chatting with you again next week.